All right. I was tagged in a video this morning, and when we came for our 2 minutes of show prep here today, Troy, luckily, is a little more up on this ordinance than I am. And there was a video from the owner. I believe he was the owner. Is he the owner? A No Name?
He's the general manager.
General manager out there at No Name Bar. And very alarming, some of the information that he put out there. But of course, I didn't have a chance to read through the actual ordinance, so I wasn't going to report on it here right now. I was thinking about reading it and maybe doing a report on it a little bit later. However, luckily, Troy, you got some information on this, and it seems to be, as I understand, a pretty extreme overreach from the city of St. Augustine, but that's not always uncommon from the city of St. Augustine, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's revamped. It came out, and then it went away because a particular politician was running for mayor.
So now this politician knew that this would not be.
Now it's come back.
Okay.
And it's, to me, the way it's written, it doesn't. First off, I think we're going to end up in a class action suit because the business is the way it's written.
By the way, you have a really good track record on predicting when these things will end up in a class action suit.
City. I know when you're going to get sued. This one's going to probably get us there if it continues.
Which is not what we want. Let's stop getting sued.
And I was the chairman of the RHI nightlife group, and then that whole consulting, the thing came back and it was terrible. It basically said we didn't need to do anything, and yet we're still doing this ordinance. So there was no reason for me to even sit on that board, being it was already going to be pushed by the politicians.
Yeah.
The downtown, and what the ordinance is it's requiring bars and restaurants to stay open after 12 to apply for a permit to be allowed to stay open after 12 o'clock.
And this basically just allows the city of St. Augustine to put their hand on your throat and say, okay, with this permit, the permit basically grants the city of St. Augustine permission to get in the way. They have a controlling
factor of whether or not your business is allowed to stay open.
Right.
So it puts their hands directly in the business.
That's not what you want from the city.
And in this ordinance, it even has some certain things like people that are working at the restaurant or bar can't drink. They can't. Bartenders shouldn't be doing shots. That's an irresponsible, but that's on the owner.
Sure.
To make that decision,
it's
not the city to make that decision.
Right.
And the way it's written, me as an entertainer, the way it's written, I don't know if I can have a drink without violating any of the rules.
Are you talking about like when you're hosting trivia?
Like when I'm hosting trivia.
What? What's that about?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Or the band, you go to trade ones, the band's up there and they're having drinks and having a good time with the crowd and interacting. The way it's written, I don't know if the band can have a drink.
Wow.
Which is ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
It's kind of trying to steal the fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's what it sounds like.
At that point, when you start doing stuff, that affecting tourism.
Oh, yeah.
You start affecting tourism. 35,000 people in our county work in the hospitality industry.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes up St. Augustine.
Don't screw with our best moneymaker.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. And it's a bad idea. It's the first reading tonight. Like I said, it went through a couple of years ago. It got squashed because it was written in a way that wasn't enforceable. I still don't think it's enforceable. When you start putting things in that aren't enforceable, you end up getting sued, and it ends up costing taxpayers more money. And if you start messing with our number one industry, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not broke. The reason we're making these lists is because everything's working together right.
So what do they see? What's their side of the story?
The people that are making the decisions aren't down there at night and they think, oh my gosh, the whole world's coming to
horrible,
an end.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
It's and the study said it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So they're even
it's not that bad. I mean, I've lived in major cities. It's not that bad.
No, it's not bad.
We rarely have reports of disorderly anything serious.
Right. And I'll tell you, it only affects maybe 6 or 7 establishments, but that stay open after midnight consistently.
Yeah.
But it's still stealing opportunities from business.
From everybody else.
And that's not government's job.
No.
Right.
Government's job is to kind of make things easier and to flow better. Don't step out of your lane.
Right.
And government's stepping out of the lane on this one, and it needs to go away. They're doing their first reading on it at tonight's city meeting.
Now, something that was very concerning to me that this gentleman mentioned in the video, and maybe you can clarify this for me, Troy, it seemed like he believed that as part of this ordinance, if somebody leaves the premises, maybe they're a little bit drunk, that's on them, and say they go to the Fort parking lot and they take a leak in public, they get into a fight in the Fort parking lot, then the city can then blame that establishment for what happens off their property?
The way it's written, it doesn't even say they have to leave that establishment. So you can be in front of that establishment.
Yeah.
It haven't even been in yet.
And they can charge the establishment.
The way it's written, it's so poorly written. That's where they're going to get into lawsuits.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to get into lawsuits, and that component of it. So, prime example, and Prohibition Kitchen's one of my sponsors, and I appreciate them being one of my sponsors.
We like them a lot.
But I can tell you, pretty much St. George Street in front of their place is one of the busiest places.
Yeah,
them and St. George Tavern.
Yeah.
So who are they going to pick and choose? They're directly across from each other.
Right.
So are they going to charge both of them?
Right, yeah.
Are you going to track everybody down and say, okay, where did you come from? Where did you just leave?
Footprints, where are they?
Can blame that establishment for your disorderly conduct.
And
that's nuts.
I can tell you right now.
That's extreme.
I've had a drink at St. George's Tavern. I've walked over to Prohibition Kitchen, had a drink there, and went back to.
Right.
So who's to blame?
Yeah.
It's not even reasonable to think that this is really supposed to happen. It did the first time it went through. Mayor Upchurch pushed the time back. They had it at 11 o'clock, and Mayor Upchurch pushed it back to 12. So that movement, he didn't end up voting for it, but he still got it pushed back to 12.
Wow.
And like
he didn't even end up voting for it.
No. Well, it was only the first reading.
Okay.
So no one really voted for it. It kind of went away.
Okay.
And then they said, "Oh, we're going to wait until we got the RHI report." They still haven't released the RHI report,
which means it's probably not favorable to what they want to do. Yeah.
It was. I sat on that. I spent time on that. I'm still in sunshine on it.
Oh wow.
So if someone else was in here, I couldn't talk the way I'm talking right now.
Right.
But I'm telling you right now, it's Trade Winds has been around longer than I've been in St. Augustine.
Yeah.
And they're getting caught up in this because they're mad at some other people that probably go. If there's a problem, go to that business and not punish everybody else.
Right. Yes. That's a key point.
Yes. Yeah. This is a gigantic paddle that they're using to hit everybody in downtown St. Augustine. It's unreasonable.
It's just it's a bad ordinance. It's going to end up costing us money, and it needs to go away.
Well, people can, of course, make plans to be down there at the city of St. Augustine at 5 o'clock today and let them know how you feel about this. But I agree, man. The city is just some of the folks that serve on the city commission are just very, very out of touch with what happens on the ground in the actual city of St. Augustine. And you can sit there from your high tower and try to rule down on folks, but that's really, again, it's not your job.
Yeah. I haven't seen a single one of them out after midnight. And I'm out a lot.
Right. Of course.
I'm home usually by midnight.
Yeah.
But I know they're not out.
Right. So just no real on the ground understanding of what's happening. And this we saw during the time that shall not be named when, folks on the inner circle of St. Augustine government were telling me that the politicians and the management of the city had no idea that shutting down a business for a month was going to negatively affect them. They didn't even understand that.
Wow.
And they were publicly saying that the businesses can survive this things when they couldn't. So I think these people need to be a little more in touch with business. And again, like you said, Troy, figure out better solutions. Yeah, because this heavy-handed approach.
They came in with that stupid ass mask law.
Oh,
and then they got their hands smacked from the state.
Yeah.
Thank goodness law enforcement had enough sense to go, I'm not writing a ticket for that.
Right. And that was across the county too, thank goodness. Yeah.
But I mean, it was just so dumb when they did it. We're like, that's not even enforceable.
Right. It's not enforceable. And it wasn't protecting anybody either, by the way, as we pointed out, but they didn't care. because they're just out of touch. And on this issue, they're out of touch again. There's things that they are very, very good at. This is not one of them.
Well, our job as citizens is to get them in touch, show up, and let them know that this is BS. And like I said, I rarely stay out after midnight, but this is an overreach in government to business, and the business people need to be there, need to show up and say, this isn't going to work for us, you governing this way.
Yeah.
When you govern this way, changes happen.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yep. I think this is just a little bit ridiculous, man. So, I would encourage people to go out there and make your voice heard. I may be there tonight. I may have to go to this one, man. And there are things that can use improvement, but go to those businesses and take care of that. Yeah. Don't punish everybody. Well, I'm sure some of these bar owners' lawyers are just waiting by. They're like, okay, pass this, let's go, because I'm going to put some money in my pocket if you guys pass this.
Yeah, one. No, it's like, okay, I cracked my fingernail. I'll solve it by cutting off your hand.
Right. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Yeah.
It's just not the right approach.
Yeah. And many people know that the city of St. Augustine has been targeting like 2 or 3 businesses in downtown St. Augustine, and they really want to get them to change what they're doing. So this seems to be, again, punishing everybody for what they don't like about 2 places. And it's just... It's not a good thing for our tourism industry. It's not a good thing for our service industry, which I don't know how much they understand that is their bread and butter. That is their lifeblood, the service industry. And if people in the service industry can't make a living, they will go somewhere else to do it. And then you're just a ghost town in downtown St. Augustine. You're not bringing in any money. People are dissatisfied with their visits to St. Augustine. And it's just not a good thing for what they say they want to do as far as tourism is concerned. So, bad deal altogether.
We have a lot of romance and wedding. We're a wedding destination now.
Yeah.
And we've done a really good job with it. Who wants to have a wedding when you get out of the wedding, the wedding party can't go anywhere?
Right. True. Yeah. That's
and they're going to say,
that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
I mean, I can hear them like right now, their defense. Oh, that's not what it's about. You can still stay open. No, you've already put restrictions on. So why would a business take that risk?
Yeah. Yeah, and it feels so like mafioso. Like, hey, if you guys want to operate between 10 and 2, that's fine.
You got to pay.
You got to give us cut us a check. We're going to come around every month, and you're going to give us a bag of money if you want to keep continuing to open your business.
Thinking back in like my old raver days, in which we would go to like after hours, and you'd order like the special. That was the only drink that they would make, which was cranberry and vodka. But like that was it because of this kind of ordinance. You couldn't order things in an establishment. You had to pay cash, and it was like all under the table. It's kind of like prohibition.
They're almost.
Yeah, really.
they're almost if they do this and they do some of the enforcement, which completely I don't think is defendable. They're almost going to create people to break these rules.
Yeah,
I mean they're almost forcing people to do it in a lot of ways, and they're going to make honest people dishonest people.
Well, in the history of St. Augustine, didn't we we didn't care about the prohibition? Is that true? I think we heard that from a historian on one of the people that we interviewed, and we just continuously did what we wanted to do. Yeah, this is just a weird
kind of out of sight, out of mind at that point. We were such a sleepy little area.
Yeah,
but the wealthy, there was ways around it.
Yeah,
there
always will be, but then you're always, like you said, taking a risk.
Yeah, you're making honest people dishonest.
Yeah. Turning good people into criminals, basically, by passing an ordinance like this overnight. And that's not what government should be doing. But we've got a lot of people in St. Augustine city government who truly believe that government should be your parent.
Yeah.
Should be telling you how to live your life. And that comes along with paying attention to who you're voting for. All right, man. So we will see how that shakes out. We will definitely stay on this. And I would encourage people to go make their voices heard to the city of St. Augustine about this tonight.